Established over 100 years ago, Watkins Books is one of the world's oldest and leading independent bookshops specializing in esoterica. We have the widest selection of esoteric books in the UK, and our friendly and knowledgeable staff are here to assist you in a unique ambience of our shop. So come and visit us in the heart of London as we're open every day.
The comments and views expressed on The Moore Show are those of the people that make them and do not necessarily reflect the view of Kevin Moore, The Moore Show, or this radio station and its affiliate or sponsors. This show is for entertainment purposes only.
Broadcasting from Amsterdam and across the world online. You're now watching The Moore Show, and I'm your host, Kevin Moore. For the next hour, I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. Now, on today's show, I'm about to be joined with my guest, James Van Praagh. Now, James is the #1 New York Times bestselling author and arguably the most famous and successful medium of our time. Now, James is world renowned for his extraordinary ability to communicate with the spirits of men, women, children, and animals who have passed on. He has been the host of his own show, Beyond, and featured guest on the Oprah Winfrey Show, Larry King Live, and countless other radio and TV shows throughout the world. James Van Praagh, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for having me back on. I appreciate it. I love sharing time with you.
I really appreciate you coming back on as well, because it's not the norm that we get guests back on so quickly. But when you were available to do another interview, I was like, well, there's no way I can turn this down. So I really appreciate your time as well for coming on board. I was just saying off air there that I've just moved to Amsterdam. And my life's gone as more 360 as it could have done. So this would be a little bit unscripted, but that's great because they're always, to me, some of the best interviews I've done as well. Or they're at least a bit more interesting because it's a bit more conversational as well.
Yes, and you moved during a Mercury retrograde, which is Mercury retrograde, anything can happen.
Oh my gosh, do you know what? Yes, that's right. Someone...
You're a brave boy.
That's so true. Someone did the new moon wishes for me. Well, they were doing new moon wishes. And yes, that's absolutely correct. It's that time of the month, isn't it? Yeah. Now, just remind us as well, you've also got some big events coming up soon, haven't you? Because we were just talking off air there, and you're all over the place.
I am in October. And I'm going to be in Zwanenhof, Holland, in the Netherlands, to teach mediumship with two other Brits, Paul Jacobs and Lynn Probert, who are very well known from the Arthur Findlay College. And then I go to Hanover, Germany, to teach for 3 days there. And then I go to an evening at Southport, United Kingdom, in Southport, England, for one night only. It's going to be all messages. So that's November 3rd. I'll be there. And then that's mostly the Europe thing. Then I do Switzerland, but mostly I want to tell a bit about Southport in England. Then November 3rd.
Yes, and one of the main places you're going to, which for my country as well, you're off to the UK. You mentioned there as well, and just remind us of that event as well that you're doing.
Well, it's November the 3rd at the Southport Theatre in Southport, England, and it's the only night I'm going to be in England. And I made that because my good friend Paul Jacobs, a medium there who I'll be working with in Holland, he said you should really go to the Southport Theatre. Everyone will love to see you there. So that's the only time I'll be in England this year is the Southport Theatre. So I want to let everybody know about that.
Okay. And just before we get, so if people want to get tickets for that as well, that's available through.
So the Southport Theatre, or they go to our website, vanpraagh.com, and look at the event page and see it right there, and that'll guide you all the way through how to get tickets.
Okay, excellent.
Vanpraagh.com, vanpraagh.com, VANPRAAGH.com.
Excellent. Okay. So yeah, we'll put that on the screen now as we speak, and that'll be going throughout the interview. So that and can people stream that as well, or is that just to be in person with you?
No, it's going to be a live event, and no streaming, just a live physical event there, which are becoming rarer and rarer. But yes, to see mediumship live is something worth seeing. It's something incredible to see live. You can see it streaming on television, but it's just the feeling you get in the room itself. It's pretty amazing. So that's why it's a rare opportunity to see it. And of course, all mediums are very, very different. The British mediums are different. American mediums are different. Everyone's different. Every medium is different. So I always want to watch a medium in person to see the phenomenon and also the teachings that certain mediums bring with them.
That's it, isn't it? Because sometimes on these evenings, on these events, it's not always about the readings, it's about the teachings. And some teachings that may be associated with one person's reading seem to have a grander meaning to other people as well sometimes in that audience.
Yes, we often say that one reading is for every single person in that audience because we're all human beings and we all have human experiences that we share. And we all share loss of some kind or another, so we can all relate to those experiences with another person. And I totally believe that, the two biggest illusions in the three-dimensional world, one being death, there is no death, and the second, a sense of separativeness, that we're separate from one another. When I believe indeed we are connected to one another. And I think we realize that when we slough out of this physical body and we go home to the spirit world, then we realize, oh, wow, I am separate. I'm connected to that person and that person. If only I realized that while I was alive, my life would have been very, very different. My perceptions would have been very different. So I try to instill that into my audiences as well.
Absolutely. That's such a core principle. It really is. And do you find yourself touring the US much as well? Is that something that you do quite a bit, or?
I do. I tour the US. I'm trying to balance between staying at home and writing, and I like teaching. I have a new school online with the JVP School of Mystical Arts. I'm doing a lot of online for people that cannot see me in person, whether in Africa or Australia or Brazil or in South America somewhere or England or some places that they cannot get to see me. I did the online school. I like doing both. I do like the in-person, and I tend to do that a lot in the U.S. In England, we find that there are so many mediums there. It's such a small country that they can't run on top of each other, so it's a little difficult. So that's why we have a lot of mediums from England coming to the States, because it's such a big country here, and they can always find places and no one has seen a medium before, so it's new for a lot of people. And it's so funny because the British mediums that I know love working in the States. They just love it. They think, people are just spontaneous and they're happy to see it, because in the UK they tend to get a lot of it. So not used to it here in the US. We're used to TV shows, television shows, or television programs where you have mediums on, but to see it in person is, again, a very different experience.
It's so true, that's so true what you're saying. Actually, I can validate that completely, that there is a lot of mediums in the UK. The UK has its own medium talk show, which is called not talk show, but it's the medium show, a channel called Psychic TV. Australia has its own version as well, but I don't know if does the US have its own Psychic TV channel?
The US doesn't. They're excuse me, they're in the middle of figuring that one out. Discovery America is trying to turn themselves into a psychic channel or a spiritual channel. It is what it is. I don't know. It's such an interesting phenomena. It's just such an interesting phenomena coming from somebody who's a teacher and who has high regard for the work and the integrity level. And you got to be very careful when you do television, because you can really cheapen the subject. And I was involved in the show Ghost Whisperer for many years, and I helped create that show. And I had lots of drag-out fights about the content of Ghost Whisperer, because here I am knowing that the medium of television is the most incredible medium in the world, and that we have a responsibility when we put things on the air that people can learn and you can empower people, not to destroy people. But then the television media of scaring people, having a fear-based program, that gets a lot more people into the seats. I had to kind of understand that, and I said, okay, I will allow that in the Ghost Whisperer. I will allow you scaring people at the beginning, but at the end of the show, I want to make sure that every single person leaves that television show in a better space, a happier space, a healing space. And they said, yes, that will happen, because with all my readings, every time I leave an audience member, there's always a sense of healing. There's always a sense of connection. There's always a sense of completion. and it really leaves them in a sense of questioning their own spirituality, realizing there's life after death. We're responsible for our thoughts, our words, and our actions. And I wanted that same kind of feeling left with every single episode of Ghost Whisperer. So I got that. But it was a fight. It's a fight. And then you have people that don't have any education producing television shows. And, it's sad when someone who's worked 35 years and knows about the integrity of this work and having to deal with people that just want to get rich, or, these producers who have no idea what the shows are about. It's a little difficult, but you got to do what you got to do.
It is. And what do you think about what's your stance on? Over here we have a TV channel dedicated to a channel that just produces psychic TV for psychic readings, and they have one in Australia. I don't know about America though. I don't know, but for me, it's all very much a sell, they're so limited into what they can say because of regulatory bodies, which I don't think that helps at all. But where's the healing in some of it as well? I think if I was doing it, I'd try to do it from a different perspective if I was going to do it on TV. But do you know what I mean? Those type of psychic channels where it's just non-stop readings. It is of benefit. It is helping people, of course it is, but it is very much a hard selling as well in some sense.
Well, in the States, many years ago, 20 years ago, we had actually one of the first psychics that came out on television, but she was looked at as a joke. Was Miss Cleo. And she was a lady from Queens, New York, and she put on this phony Jamaican accent. And so it sounded very exotic. And she'd say, "Let me give you a reading now, man. Let me help you, man, with a reading." And it sounded very exotic, and people wanted to go for it. It's sad because I think they're from very gifted people out there who are psychics. But when you make it a carnival act or a circus act, it really cheapens it, and it makes it bad for everyone in that field. I wish they could just put, and they do have some legitimate mediumship shows on, psychic shows. We have one over here right now called the Hollywood Medium, Tyler Henry, a young kid, 20 years old, and he's out there doing readings, and he's doing very well. He has good integrity. You can tell he has honesty. So it's interesting. It's just interesting, I think maybe I'm jaded because I've been around so many years, and I want it to be a certain way. But Hollywood wants it to be a certain way too, so therein is the rub.
But that's good that you want it to be a certain way. But do you know the type of shows that I'm referring to, where it's these where it's 24/7 sort of readers that will take your calls to on TV, or will take a message on TV. Those, do you know those?
It sounds like an infomercial. We call them infomercials.
Okay.
It's just like entertainment infomercials here.
Yes. So
I couldn't. I mean, that to me is. It's like a carnival act. I wouldn't want that.
No, it's a shame that it can't be done from a different perspective, or a different perspective in a sense that could be very different to that, and could be a lot more enlightening, I think.
Well, I think people would like. I think every single person out there want to know more. They want to explore, and it's a great opportunity to teach people about really what mediumship or psychic phenomena is all about. And they really could take the time to teach people, and you'd probably get more of an interest in that. But unfortunately, when you make it kind of like a 1-800 type of call psychic now, it cheapens it quite a bit. It cheapens it for everybody, and then people put everyone together, mediums and psychics. Oh, you must be like that, can I? And they think you just read them on the. So it's not great. It's not great.
Yeah,
it's dishonor to the field that I'm in.
I wonder if there's a better way of doing that. There must be someone that will come up with a better way, a new perspective of that. That there will be, because I think that there's a lot of psychics out there that do a lot of good, a lot of mediums as well. And just taking that to when you've been abroad as well. Do you find that most psychics or mediums have the same? Is it the same type of gifts that they've all got? The message is always the sort of same in a sense. Well, not the same, but obviously a unique message for everyone, but it's the same principles.
To a point. I mean, I don't really work with psychics per se, so I really work with mediumship. And just because somebody's a medium does not mean they're necessarily a spiritual person. So this is very interesting, because people lump it all together. They must be very spiritual. Not necessarily. So you can be a great technician. So you can be a great technician with mediumship and get evidence and names and details about the departed, and that can be fantastic. but it's coming from someone who might be not very spiritual. So there's always that. And to me, responsibility to give to uplift your person that you're and to make them aware that life after death and that they're still with them and so forth. That's really what it's about. So just so spiritual. So I've been around many mediums and English as well. We have them go out on stage and they just deliver messages blah, 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 without any teaching, without any sense of foundation. And I think that comes from the churches too. When they used to brought up from the spiritual churches, you're really not allowed to get up there and speak about teaching. It's just you got to deliver the message. So that's why I've never been really involved in a church, because they wouldn't want me, because I think it's education. I think we have to educate the people in the audience. What good is the message if they don't understand the mechanics of mediumship? They don't understand how this is done. They don't understand what to do with the information afterwards. It becomes something like a robot getting up there and just speaking and getting words out. There's nothing to it. It's just the phenomena is there, but what do you do with the phenomena? Once you experience the phenomena, what are you supposed to do with it? So to me, I like to broaden things out and have an experience. To me, it's always a miracle, Kevin, when you can do this, when you can bring through spirit and change someone's life. That is a miracle to me. And I think it should be looked at and respected that way. And all too often it isn't.
Okay, well, just go into that then. How would you? Okay, so what is when people are going to come see you, which they do, they do, and they will always. How do you put that across? And what is that like to experience that with you? Then, if you're going to have, yeah.
So they're used to a lot of. It's so funny. When I was over in the UK, when I first got there, probably like close to 10, 12 years now, I went on stage and started dancing, and we're like, what is this guy doing? What is this guy? And I would just start dancing. People like shocked. What is this crazy American doing? And I do that for a reason. People were shocked, but then they started applauding and clapping, and I'm like, and they might think I'm crazy. And it was done in Blackpool, Blackpool. Yes. And it was in an area where it was really the amusement center down there, where there was the end of a dock or a pier, and there was a theater at the end of a pier, and the theater had a stage that was dilapidated, and it went sideways. It kind of fell down. It was falling down, so we fell down on the stage, kind of. So my turns were pretty incredible, and the people wondered, what is he doing? And I did that for a very specific reason. I got that, number one, to get their attention, which it got their attention. Number two, it takes away the fear, because people that come to that show who have no background in this work whatsoever might be very, very scared, fearful, religious background, sense of devil's work, fearful, this isn't right, a little bit lighter. Then the people can lighten up, and then they get the message. Because people can get the message when they're more, if you will, lighter than heavy, you see. When they're fearful, they clam up, they close the door. So when you get them to be much lighter, they can do it that way.
Okay, so absolutely. So you keep it nice and light, and but as you've said, there's in what you would like to see the industry push towards, or not the industry, but the way that some teachings could be done, in a sense, is to have that teaching to have teaching basically within the readings. Is that what you're kind of pushing to? Well,
that's what I would say. That's what I would love to see. But unfortunately, again, I don't know what the level of quality of these shows are. I mean, it seems like it sounds, when you're describing, like it's a bit of a circus act. It's like, call 1-800 blah 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 or 199 whatever to get a message quickly. It cheapens the work to me. It really does. I mean, I know everybody has a need, and to me, it's like it cheapens it. It makes it more of a carnival act, and it seems that it's all for money, money, money. We had psychic hotlines over here in America for years, and it just got a really bad rap. It just got a really bad rap that it came out of desperation. It came out of a sense of, again, that carnival, circus acts, and it just cheapens it. So I'd like to stay away from that, because I've worked too hard, and the work is so important that you don't want it to be in that level. So, but I don't know the people that do the work. I don't know these psychics. I don't know how gifted they are. I don't know if they're legitimate or not. So who's to know? If they've been tested? Is there a foundation that tests these people? where they just make things up. I don't know. So I'm very skeptical and very leery of people that say they can do that type of work. Not unless I've sat with them myself or they come from high recommendation.
Well, that makes it. How would you then, if you're Joe Average in a sense, how would you then know who to go to in a sense if you wanted to have a reading there and then, and there's a number to call, for example.
I would never.
Yeah, but
I would never. Mm-hmm. If I was referred to somebody, so let's say somebody calls that 800 line, whatever, the psychic hotline, if they had a very, very good experience over several times, or several people had a very good experience with one of the readers, then that's a referral, yes. It's a referral, yes. I just wouldn't, cold call some phone number just because someone said they're on a psychic hotline show. Should you call them? I wouldn't do that. I just don't trust that necessarily.
I suppose. Yeah. I mean. Yeah. Absolutely. Not unless they're maybe recommended or there's some body that they're behind or some essence they're behind of something. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Otherwise, it's too loosey goosey.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Well, that's an important. Yeah. All right. And when you're having a reading with someone, it's difficult to choose the right one as well, I suppose, that you think is the right one. Do you think you're led by the gut feeling then, or the intuition of who's the right one to go to for you?
Well, number one, I have rules for people who want readings. I always say, and it's on my website, I have this, where number one, always go to somebody that's referred to you, because I always have to do that. I wouldn't just go to someone. I mean, if people want to do that, they take their chances in their hands. But if they do that, they definitely should use their intuition, their gut feeling of who feels right to them. Number two, be mindful of how much it's costing them. Is it way too much, or is it? Number three, pay attention to what is being said to you. Are they very specific details that are happening in your life at this moment, and not generalizing? That's very, very important. And number four, if you leave, do you feel uplifted, empowered, or you just left the same? So those are the 4 steps rules I say I'd like to use when seeking a reading.
Okay, absolutely. And I suppose when applying those rules, you may come out of a reading feeling as though did that reading really resonate? It feels as though that there was nothing connected within that reading. Yet you do have to give it a bit of time sometimes for some of the events in your life to take place. I always feel that in a reading sometimes it's giving you options as well that you never even considered. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, does every reading have to have validation? I suppose that's what I'm saying. I suppose there must be some validation as well.
So it again depends on the reading you're talking about. So a psychic reading, which is very different than a mediumship reading. A psychic reading is really a reading where the intuitive is able to read the energy of the individual. They're reading the energy at that particular moment. So in the field of the recipient, or something in the past that's going, or something going on now presently, or something that looks like in the future that will most likely happen at this particular time. Now that recipient can change their mind about things. They have free will, so they cannot have to go out that night and go drive the car, so they'll be fine. Whatever it might be. And so they have the right choice. That particular time aspects that would happen most likely if that person continued the way they did. Okay, so there's a wonderful psychic in England named Debbie of northern part of England who she read tarot cards, and I tested her, and she was phenomenal. She said, you're going to hear about something legal in your family very soon, and there's going to be someone that's going to be in prison. And I'm like, And sure enough, 2 days later, my nephew went into prison, and I heard about it. So, I mean, that was very specific. It should be specific things like that. Now, as a medium, when you go see a medium, it's a very different experience, where the mediumship, you need to recognize the spirit that's coming through, whether through names, through death conditions, situations, something that you can definitely tell, no, it's that spirit. So I'm not going to say, there's a mom here and she loves you. That's not specific enough. If you have a mom here, she's 57 when she dies. Her name is Kathy. She had a heart attack. She died in St. Mercy Hospital. That's specific. Now, that's what you have to do. So a medium is someone that brings specific information. Now, anybody in the audience that hears a mediumship reading, even though, again, the reading's for one person, there'll be elements of that reading that every single person in that audience is able to take home with them, to understand, because it's really, even though it's specific, they will also be able to relate to various experiences and situations because we're all in this human experience together. So whether the mother comes through and said, you have to forgive your brother for something, or, forgiveness is the only way there is, that person, another person can look at that and see their own life, use it in their own life. Wow, I need to forgive my father, or my mother. Something going on there. I really should do that. So they can relate to that. So two different types of scenarios.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that. And yeah, it's okay. So you've had your reading, and the one thing you cannot do though with that reading is to sort of live by it in a sense. Yet it's very difficult, isn't it, to sort of let it go because something exciting may have been said there that you really want to happen, or whatever's come through that's sort of set you thinking. You've kind of, I suppose, because you've got the option there, you're kind of able then to manifest it, aren't you? Because maybe you never considered, like I said before, that it was even there as an option. But you have to sort of let the reading go and just get on with it, don't you, as well? Get on with life.
Yeah. I think for me, and I think that if someone's a psychic, let's just say a psychic, who's a gifted psychic, who knows what they're doing, really what they're doing is they're telling the recipient, this is the way I see it, but you're in charge of your own destiny. So here you go. This is the way it looks like now, but here you go. You can change things the way you want. And maybe they'll push them to use their own intuition when making choices in life. Because all life is a series of choices. And people can make the right choices if they go within, if they use that gut feeling, their own intuition, which is the soul's voice. Intuit means into the soul. So if they could use their own intuition with the choice they have to make in life, and they use it, they'll be better off if they go with the gut. When you go with the gut, when you go with the head, you can rationalize, you can really criticize, you can get in the way of everything happening. So the choices that you make should be intuitive choices. And that psychic should really give you that power. And no one should rely on a psychic for their life choices. They should rely on themselves. So if anything, that psychic should help them with the exploration of self-discovery.
Do you think sometimes, well, maybe not sometimes, but do you think those that give readings where they're predicting future events, not too far ahead, but just, these, if you're on this path now, if you stay on the path you're on, this is the potential for you. Can you resonate with predictive readings and their future events?
Sure, without a doubt. If you feel that psychic person, a psychic sees outside of time, outside of linear time, so they can feel a certain outcome to a certain situation, no doubt about it. And it's at this particular moment, at this particular time, this is what I'm feeling. Now, you can take that information and change it tomorrow by doing different things in your life.
That's right.
So that's always there. So the psychic's responsibility is to let that recipient know, that person know, that they could change their life. This is what I see right now, but you have the power to change things. So that always has to be part of that reading. And if it's not, I would ask for my money back. Thank you.
Yeah. And do you, what do you feel about those that give not negative information, but it's not always the most empowered information? Do you feel that a reading would always come from love, and that most readings don't really delve upon negative things occurring because that's not really coming from love? Not that those things will not happen, but we're not, that's not the message that's coming through for you. That's not what you.
Right. So I think that a message, whether it's a psychic message or it's a mediumship message, two very different things, that the client, the person receiving that, reading that message, their life should be empowered. They should be better off from having met you than before. So if let's say you're a psychic, you're in a psychic reading and you said this person's parent is going to die of a major car accident in the next few weeks, you're not going to say, your mother's going to die in a major car accident in the next few weeks. You wouldn't say that. But you would say, how close to your mom? How is she doing? Go check her out. Go see how she is. Make sure you tell her you love her. Just probably good to say. It's how you couch it, how you present the information. Again, you might want to say, your mom, mom wants to hear you love her. And if that's the thing, just give mom an extra little cuddle or whatever. Just you have to make it kind of like that. You got to give out the information without destroying the person. That's really what your responsibility is to do. In mediumship, I've done it with students, and there's some students, and I was in Holland when this happened, and I had a bunch, about 5 or 6 students, and we're talking about mediumship, and they were showing me how they would deliver a message. And one man said, there's a young boy here, he has a car collision, and his head was thrown off his body, his brains were all over, his blood was everywhere, going on, and it was so dramatic. And I stopped him. I said, "Stop that right now." He said, "What do you mean? I'm describing the experience." I said, "No, you're not. You're embellishing it. And the only reason you're embellishing it is because it's for you. It's for the consideration of you, the medium. It's not for the recipient." So you realize that the mother who's sitting here, and actually was the mother sitting there, that she went through that death once. There's no reason why she needs to experience that whole thing over again. That's not, you should never do that. You are to empower her. You have gotten the same message through by saying, there's a young boy here who was in a car collision and died in a car accident. And that would have been understood. There was no reason to embellish it. The only reason for the embellishment is for the ego of the medium. And that's really what it was for. So I stopped them immediately because, again, it's to empower the recipient, not destroy them.
Yes, right. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing the honesty in what you in just that experience. Is that's really interesting.
It's got to be integrity, Kevin. Otherwise, they shouldn't do the work.
Yeah, absolutely. And wow. Okay. So really, when these messages are coming through, there's a lot. You're still a filter. The medium or the psychic is still acting as a filter, and it's still you're only as good as the training that you've given yourself and the time you've given yourself to develop that filter and sort of Yeah.
Exactly right. Exactly right. That's exactly right. So you have to relationship with your own soul before you're able to go communicate with another soul. You have to certainly have a relationship with your own soul before you go do anything else.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I've had a lot of channelers come on recently, and that side of the coin is very much about teaching information. It's not about giving readings on a personal level. No, some channelers can do that, but not all channelers do that. It's very much teaching that sort of comes through in a sense. And I still find that aspect very difficult, that you can't do some of the things that a psychic or medium can do in a sense. But I suppose then it's just a different gift, isn't it?
I guess. The whole thing with the channelers, I'm always very skeptical. I've always I haven't had really the experience of that. I've had the experience of inspirational speaking. I've gone into a light trance state, and spirits have come through, guides, teachers, inspirers, philosophers have indeed come through and brought through lovely messages. I don't know. I personally, I think with channelers, it's another way, it's another label. It's all labels.
Yes.
Could have called the label. To me, it's really a light trance, and they're really inspired to speak. And in some ways, and this is just me, and I'm being very naughty when I say this, but I have to because I'm just very honest. I think for some experience of those channelers, not all of them, but some, it's just lazy mediumship. It's like they don't want to take the time to sit and develop their mediumship, so they go into trance, and maybe they're being inspired, and that's fine. But I think that many of them could be probably very, very good mediums if they would take the time to sit and develop their abilities instead of just saying, "Oh, I'm getting out of the way. Oh, letting someone come through." I mean, it's platitudes a lot of the time. I don't know. It's just, I'm very skeptical. I'm sorry. I've just been around too many years. And I do believe they're genuine channelers, no doubt. But I think we got to be very careful about getting caught up in the labels of things, because we can call them inspired readings. We can call them trance mediums. I don't know. The whole channeling thing, I don't know. It just leaves not a great taste in my mouth. Although I've seen some channelers where they've been, I call it overshadowing, where they're overshadowed by the spirit, and they receive information by their inspirers and philosophers. But the recipient, the person, the instrument calls it channeling, when really they're just being overshadowed, light trance. But I think also that the person doing it doesn't know the terminology correctly, or doesn't know about mediumship. So there's always that aspect too you got to look at.
I mean, what really, yeah.
I sound very jaded, don't I?
No.
Sorry, 35 years of doing this, and integrity is my number one for me.
No,
so,
I would rather you be completely the way you are, being dead honest. I really would, and so would the audience, because that's the only way to push this. To gonna learn, yeah. But then again, what do we really know in some sense when you've got a massive veil over yourself? I mean, it's still, the accumulative knowledge that you've got now, all the life and wonderful life experience that you've had, and still to have as well, what does it really mean in the bigger picture of what we really, of what we think we know?
Yeah, so it's a very good one. So the best advice I can give is this. Every single day is an opportunity to learn, to grow, to live, to love. And I think that each one of us has to take the responsibility each day to open ourselves up and explore and discover and question. No doubt about it. Do we know everything? Not in this three-dimensional level. But there was one thing which we do, which transcends all the levels, and that is love. Love is the energy that transcends everything. So if you can bring that energy of love to every single person you're meeting that day in some way, and just, I say, try to find that God light within everyone. Try to be more understanding, because people that come into your life come in for a reason. They're either teaching you something or you're teaching them something. So be more open to what's going on. Be very objective. What am I learning here? What am I teaching them? Every single person that comes into your life every day has a story. So we have to be open to exploring that story without judgment, just seeing what's going on there. I think in that way, we're here on this earth to explore, to grow, and to expand. We are souls trying to grow. That's why we're down here. It's our soul schoolroom. So every day there's some incredible experience we can go through to learn and experience and expand, look at things differently. So that's part of the reason we're here, to look at things differently. So every day should be an exciting day, because, wow, it's going to be, we're going to learn new things today. And that's, I think, how it should be. Can't know everything, but at least you can try to look at things differently each day.
Yes, absolutely. And I always plug this into my shows recently, like a boring record, I know, but I have to. That we are here to have a freaking human experience. So get on with it as well. It's not about completely being in on the ethereal side of where we go. I try to remain very centered in this space. On Earth, what things that I enjoy doing, not worrying if people judge me for it, getting on with what I enjoy as well. These interviews I do enjoy, but I've got a life away from this type of stuff as well, which is completely different.
Well, I often say that people can't be so spiritual that they're no earthly good.
Yeah, and especially what I got up to this weekend in Amsterdam, I can't say a lot really, right?
Here in Amsterdam, a whole different situation.
It's true. No. If people came here, it's true, right? But
I love Amsterdam. I think it's free. I think people are just who they are. I think since the war, it's turned the opposite, where people are very liberated and open and free and just who they are. I love Amsterdam. It represents that part of the human spirit, which is people are just who they are, and it doesn't matter. And I love that. I love that celebration. It's one of my favorite places in the world to go to.
Well,
I'll be there.
I hope, yes, and we're going to put those details just on the screen as we speak now. And I would be lovely to meet you there as well.
Exactly what I'm thinking. We'll meet next Tuesday.
Yeah, that could be a lot of fun. Definitely. Okay, and okay. So we plugged that point. Don't judge yourself about the things that you do. I mean, it's not. If you was here and had no veil, then that's different. We've got a veil. We can't remember our connection. We are here to remember through the actions that we take with love and everything, peace to everyone else. But it's just there's things that we do as human beings, and let's just do what you enjoy without hurting yourself or anybody else. I think that's an important part as well.
Exactly right. You got to learn. You got to fall down every once in a while, and falling down or taking a knockdown. That's part of the experience too. Learning from that. I mean, it's all about learning. It's not judging. It's learning. It's opening up to learning experiences and boundaries, as you said. What's healthy boundaries? What's not healthy boundaries? Instilling healthy boundaries. Honoring yourself enough that you have healthy boundaries, that guess what? No one's going to destroy my boundaries. No one's going to dirty my house. Maya Angelou, the great author, said, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the whole thing, but she said, no one's going to come in my house and dirty my house. No one's going to dirty this house. And she said, words have power. They get in your drapes, on your rugs, on your walls. Words have power. She goes, but I'm not allowing anyone in my house to dirty up my house. It's true. No one should be allowed in your space who's going to dirty your space. They should empower you and bring you up. And that's what we're here to learn. We're here to learn to grow up, to be up, to help each other up, not to bring people down.
No, absolutely not. And talking about bringing people down, I mean, look, we all get tested, don't we? We've all had bloody... Yeah. And, people can see clips of you being tested by other people. And, and I just, to me, I don't see the point in trying to catch someone out, in a sense, because I don't think that's how readings flow. The energy doesn't flow like that.
I had a guy tested me from the Skeptic Society, and I didn't know who this person was, and I did the best I could with. But they took this reading and they skewed it, edited it, made it their way, and they put in all the stuff they want to make their point. And it's like, that wasn't what was had done. And that's happened to me ever since I started. In that, even through, even Barbara Walters did that to me. It's like, wait a minute, that's not how it was done. That's not how it was. But they make it their way to make their point, and it's dishonest. And talk about dishonesty, wow. But I can just say, I know what I did, and I have integrity.
Of course.
And boy, once these people pass over to the side, hate to say it, but they're going to see all the things they did wrong to other people. That's going to be waiting for them when they pass over. Yesterday we just lost the lady Phyllis Schlafly, who was a right-wing, I don't remember, Jerry Falwell here, the religious right. And I used to work for many, many years ago, before I did mediumship, I worked for Norman Lear, who did many comedies, and worked for People for the American Way, and was to fight the religious right. And I mean, there was hate mail sent every single day that I had to go through from this Phyllis Schlafly, and she died yesterday. And it was so interesting, because under her obituary was, the old woman is finally croaked, and that's how she was known here. And it was like, wow, things have certainly changed. But that poor lady, when she passes over, when she passed over, she probably now is seeing all the things that she did, and all those little ribbons and ways that she hurt people. And we call it the power of the ripple, the power of the rippling effect. And unfortunately, it's negativity, and it hurts people and destroys people. And of course, people are on this earth in all different levels of awareness. Some are babies, come back as soul babies in nursery school. Children trying to understand. They still think that war and hatred and violence is the way. And then there are other souls who come down here who are enlightened souls, light souls, who know love, forgiveness, compassion, understanding is the way. And then you have all those souls in the middle in grade school trying to figure things out. So we're down here with a lot of different souls at different levels of being.
So true. It's so true. And then the reason I asked you that question as well is because mainly to really for those out there trying to that are developing as well, that this is what you're going to get. Don't think that just because James is the only one that gets that, you're going to get that in some point sooner or later in your career. And maybe that's coming from you to begin with. Maybe there's no one outside. Maybe you're doubting yourself, and I suppose that can be very normal. Is the message, is this real? It's happening to me? Am I making this up? What is this that's coming through? Because that self-doubt can take hold sometimes, can't it? In different ways.
Sure. So that's the brain. That's the human getting in the way. So with mediumship, I often say to people, it's what's in the heart, not in the head. So take the head to the heart. Because it's not the same way as you would live every day with your mind, with your thoughts about, again, getting caught up in the judgment and value of people. It's really a feeling. It's a sense. It's a very subtle sense, and it's almost like you have to illuminate your own soul before you're able to illuminate someone else. What do you feel about that person? What do you feel about this nuance that you're getting here, about the spirit that passed over? And there's a lot of trust. You've got to trust your instincts. So it's a lot of trusting your instincts and just saying what you get, not thinking about it, but feeling about it. So when I do exercise with people, it's pretty funny. I do it in a light way where let's say they're doing an exercise between each other, and I'll say, okay, I want you to feel, don't think. I'm smelling brain cells here. And that's my way of saying you're thinking about it. Feel instead. And the moment they start feeling things and they use their feelings and validate with their feelings, they say, oh, I got it. And they say, you got it. See how subtle it was, how sensitive? Yes, I get it now. Once they get it, they can't go back to the old way. They're in, and they know how to do it. So mediumship is very subtle. It's very, very an easy way in. If they allow themselves to push the conditioned mind to the side and listen with their soul self, they get in.
Yes, and going back to that, you offer courses online for training and development as well, don't you? Yep. Do you get certified after you've taken the course?
Yes. 2 certified courses. I have one psychic intuitive course and one mediumship course. They're both certified courses. And then that means they're open to other degrees, if you will, or levels of work with me, even in-person work with me. So the certification courses are important. They're 8 weeks each, and there are 64 videos each. There's homework. It's a lot of work. It's hard work, and it's not easy. It's not for the easy people. It's hard work, and it has to be hard work as far as I'm concerned, because you have to show that you really care, that you really are into it, and that you'll go and do the work that's needed in order to develop properly. So yeah, we've had over 6,000 people in the course, wow. And again, I'll get a lot of feedback from people who are very, very. They're very, very moved. They didn't know they'd ever find something like this. It's very fulfilling for them. it leads them down their life path. So a lot of different courses in the James Van Praagh School of Mystical Arts, or I call it the JVP School of Mystical Arts.
That's wonderful. That's really, really good way of giving back. Yeah, absolutely. Now, in your organization, because obviously you are, in a sense, you've become a business because, you've just had to. That's the way these things work.
Have to pay rent.
Yeah, exactly. Do you try to only get people working with the organization that have the same ethos as you, or is that not really, and is that not really important to you in a sense?
No, because I will teach them, I help them, I assist them. Whether it's, I do a lot of shows around the country, and I get a lot of promoters and venues, and people have no idea what mediumship is. And when that happens, they feel like I have to educate them. So I'm educating them. There are other people that come from my school who have had maybe some experiences, but they're lackluster experiences, or they've lost their way, or they've had some bad experiences, and they work with me in the school, and their whole lives change. They're like, wow, this is what it's about. I'm like, yeah, this is what it's about. And all I'm doing is sharing my experiences with people. It's, maybe not for everybody, but so far the reaction has been incredible. And it's just my 35 years of doing this work and my own development and what I've been through. So it's helping other people. It's my legacy, really. I'm leaving this legacy. When I first started doing this work, there was no place to go about learning about development circles, learning about mediumship, learning about psychic phenomena. What does all this stuff mean? What do I do with it? So this is an incredible school for people to really have a place to go to educate themselves, and that's what it's about, education.
No, I think it's great. Okay, that's fantastic. That what you're doing with the education, most definitely. Well, I suppose the reason I asked that question is there are other spiritual schools out there, in a sense, not to do with there is to do with psychic medium and other phenomena. Yet I think the people working for them, you would call them less than spiritual. It really is a business. It's all about keeping the money coming in and maintaining it. Where am I going with this? Well, I just you have to. What you think sometimes on the outside that looks really good isn't always what's going on the inside, and I it really pains me when I see that in spiritual practices. Not saying yours is. I'm saying I've come across it with others.
No, when I first started doing my school and I went online and I searched for psychic schools, I couldn't believe how many I found. I'm like, are you kidding me? They're like thousands. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, who are these people they don't have this experience? None of these people have experience, and they're putting a school up. To me, it goes against everything I am, because you have to have, first of all, you have to have experience. And a lot of these people think it's a get-rich-quick scheme. Again, goes back to those psychics, those programs you're speaking about. And that's what it comes off like to me. I mean, it's just like when you're Googling something, you have these pop-ups that come up. I'm like, seriously. So everybody has to take responsibility for their actions. No doubt about it. So, these people that are doing this, I don't know what their intention, just be careful. What you give out, you get back.
Yeah. And unless you can really... unless you've done your own research, and like you say, there's something that's behind it that's maintaining that level of decency, in the sense of that these people are who they say they are, with the gifts that they say they are, and that's not always easy to find. But that's
and Kevin, like I said to you earlier, you talked about moving to Amsterdam, not knowing really this or that. And I said to you, which I truly believe, if you do something from the right space, from your heart space, you do things out of love, the money will come. Spirit will always take care of you. You'll always be taken care of. It might not come the way you think it, but if you come from the right space, no matter what work or what field you're in, if you do it from the right space, and you don't do it to hurt anybody, you do it to educate or help people, you'll always be taken care of. I'm a living proof of that. It's true. It happens in strange ways. The spirit world, there's a greater intelligence happening in our lives, and they will take care of those who are good or loving people. They will. So that's my belief system. Those who hurt other people, they'll also be taken care of in their own way.
Well, no, that's true. They will actually. Even those that aren't so very loving, and maybe some of the more negative points of the opposite points of what you've just said, they are still taken care of. Yet they are on a different path, I suppose. And sometimes during the parts of their life, it may be quite different to what they've got now, if they're not changing their ways, or looking at it from a different perspective, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Now, obviously, we're getting to the bottom of this, the top of this interview, shall I say, right now, because it's we're almost at the end.
Yes.
Now, okay. So you've mentioned some really interesting things. I think it's so important what you've mentioned as well. So to get in contact with yourself, to look at courses, again, that's all available from your web store, your website.
Yes, which is vanpraagh.com. That's VANPRAAGH.com.
Okay. And well,
it's hard to remember spelling. It's my karma.
and well, actually, who were your parents from the U.S. with that name?
My relatives are from Holland, obviously. Well, from London, Wales, and Holland.
Ah, right. That's your connection with Holland as well. Yeah, that's why you go back as well.
Very, very popular name.
I was about to say that's not an American name. Yeah, Van Praagh is definitely much more European. Definitely, yeah.
I was up there last summer on my birthday in August last year, and I'm walking around Amsterdam, and a guy came up to me, started chatting, and he's a second cousin of mine. I was like, what?
Wow.
He was a dog also. It was very
That is very strange, isn't it? Oh my gosh. Well, there you go. That's the universe bringing people together, most definitely. Okay, so we've been putting your books on the screen as well, because obviously you are working on a new book as well, aren't you? There is a new book coming out.
I am working. I'm working on a new book called The Power of Love, and The Power of Love comes out in November, and it's learning how we can use different aspects of love and how it can really change our lives and dilute fear and negativity in our lives and bring love and healing in our lives. So again, just choices of either love or fear. And so the power of love, the strongest healing force in the universe, how you can apply that in your everyday life and really have a life manifest that you want to live. So it's called The Power of Love. The Power of Love, Connecting to Oneness. That's what it's called.
Wow. Okay. Well, I will be meaning you to interview you in person about that. Most definitely. Most definitely. Well, look. Okay. So for my British audience as well, you're coming back over very, very soon. All the details are available through the web store as well, and we're putting all the details on the screen as we speak to get the tickets as well. And this may be you won't be back too often back to the UK, so this is a great time to see you now. Basically,
next year, so this will be the only time. Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, I would highly recommend that people do get the chance to go see you, because I think you're doing a great service to the world and to the psychic and mediums out there as well. And thank God that someone is shining that torch, and it's yourself that's doing it. So that's really, really good. And I really resonate with everything you said, and I just think it's you're definitely time served. I'll give you that. Yeah, it's great. Is there any final message you might like to give to the audience?
No, just take your time and don't jump into things. Just, stop, take a breath, and look at it, love or fear. That's what I want to leave with them.
That's beautiful. Well, James Van Praagh, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having me, and good luck in Amsterdam.
Well, we've come to an end on tonight's show. Don't forget that you can listen and watch all our past interviews on the More Show's official YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new daily shows. You may also find out more on all past and upcoming guests on themoreshow.com, and do like us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest information. So until next time, be safe.